Of our podcast, Raw and Unscripted. And I'm here with Kelly Ann on this beautiful Tuesday morning. And we are so beyond excited to talk about the big magic that we experienced this past weekend in Toronto. I swear it was like the fastest 24 hours ever, but the amount that we accomplished in 24 hours and the amount of joy that my heart felt in 24 hours was it's enough to fill me for a while, Kellyanne. We're excited. We're going to talk about all about our experience this weekend. How are you, Kellyanne? Good morning.
I'm great. I'm still kind of on that high from the weekend. And I think that's what happens when you've had an amazing experience. It stays with you for a while, and it's inspiring, and it does all the things. You feel all the feels, and it takes a while for you to come down from it. So yeah, I'm still on a high, definitely, for sure.
Yeah, I know. Whenever I go to any types of events, but I mean, this one was extra special for a few reasons, which we'll talk about in a minute. But anytime that I'm around amazing energy, people that are big thinkers, heart-centered people, and where I laugh a lot, like my heart is just it's full, and right? It's like it's the difference between the energy that I want to be around and the energy that I don't always want to be around. But
Mhm.
let me tell everyone, and those of you that are tuning in, good morning, hello, thank you for being here. So yeah, a lot of you. There was actually one person who reached out to Kellyanne and I and said, I'm kind of secretly hoping that your podcast episode on Tuesday is all about your weekend. And I said, well, guess what? It is. We're going to talk all about it. So yeah, so you know what? So here's the thing. Kellyanne and I have never met before. We met virtually through a space a few years ago online, and but we connected and we talk about a lot of the similar things. So we decided to start this podcast together. As well as having this podcast together, the two of us are a part of a incredible space, a reading room, so much more than a book study, with an amazing heart-centered woman by the name of Romy Marlowe, who is a woman who helps women rise with their stories, big impacts, people who are having big visions for this world to be able to give back. And Romy is an incredible woman, and we had never met her either. So when we found out, one of the books that we are reading in our reading room and discussing and having beautiful conversation about is Elizabeth Gilbert's Big Magic. Now, if you're not sure who Elizabeth Gilbert is, she is the author of the very famous movie that Julia Roberts played in, Eat, Pray, Love. And we were reading Big Magic. And when we found out that Liz Gilbert was doing a book tour and coming into Toronto, where we live, not too far from where we live, Romy had this great idea to make an opportunity to bring women together, whoever wanted to step forward and say, me, to be able to take their vision further, to help raise their voices further. A masterminding opportunity, a mentorship through Romy. And both Kellyanne and only Kellyanne and I, not by accident, I know this now, said yes. We said yes to this opportunity, and we're going to talk all about it today.
Yeah, it was, I think both Kim and I believe that nothing happens by accident. There are no coincidences. Everything is divinely planned. And Kim said we've known each other for a couple years. That's not even true. We
Oh,
have only known each other for just over a year.
I feel like it's been longer than that.
I know. It was a very it hasn't been long at all, but obviously we it had a connection right away, and that's why we're working together doing this. But when it was actually through Kim that I heard about Romy. I knew nothing about Romy, and Kim shared that she was part of this book club. And I thought, well, if Kim loves it, because I totally trust Kim, I thought I'm going to give this a try. And being in Romy's energy and her space has she is just a champion for women. And I can so relate to that. I love that. And she spoiled us
Oh,
and she challenged us and she did all the things. Oh, we had beautiful flowers. Like it was Kim and I said we could get used to this kind of amazing um, pampering and all the things, because one thing that Kim and I made a decision on that made all of this possible is that we chose to invest in ourselves. And what I have learned is that if you want growth, if you want to be around people who are doing amazing things, you often have to pay to be in that room. And the value that you get from being around women who challenge you, who celebrate you, who encourage you, which Romy did all of those things with us. Um, we laughed so much, we cried, we did all the things. And then to top it off, we got to go and see Liz Gilbert, who, again, we laughed, we cried listening to her. So it's just, and I say this to women all the time, that you are your most important investment. We can spend all the money on, Kim and I talked about this. We can spend all the money on clothes, on, beauty products, on fillers to make ourselves more beautiful, on all the things. We can spend all the money on our house. We can get the new countertops. We can buy the new furniture. And we often forget that the investment we make in ourselves has the greatest return,
Mhm.
because when we are growing and fulfilled and feeling happy and content, everything else in the world is better. So, Kim and I made that choice this weekend, and it was an amazing investment, I think, for both of us. And getting to meet Kim in real life was wonderful, because I said to her, it's going to be a different sense when we get online now, because I've actually hugged you and met you in person. So it was wonderful.
We sure did. Oh, I love everything that you shared, and it's so true. It's not it's the investment is one thing, and I guess along with the investment, it's the belief in ourselves. It's the belief in recognizing that first of all, we are, from a business standpoint, we are our business, right? So we have to be able to pour into ourselves, to elevate ourselves, to put ourselves in the spaces where we will be challenged, because so often we can have these dreams. Like, I think about this a lot. Like, I have these little dreams that drop in, and these things that I want to do, and these places that I want to go to and grow to in my business. But then there's always these little voices that that's not possible. It's too late. How are you going to make that happen? And I get caught up, just being transparent, I get caught up sometimes on the details. And when, like, again, we did not, yes, we've been online spaces before, but there's a difference when you're spending energy, a lot of energy. And if the energy of the people that you're with, it's either going to feed you or it's going to drain you. And I have never been around, like, right from Kellyanne and I's, we met at a carpool, and I jumped in her car, and right from the very beginning the conversation just flowed. It was like we knew each other like forever. And that's what happens. And I guess that's another, we're letting these conversations always free flow, but that's the power of the fact that, if right now you're listening to this and you're like, oh, I wish I had someone like that in my life, I wish I had people like that in my life who could, pour into me and I could pour into them. They're out there for you. Like, but just like Kellyanne said, if you want to find them, you have to put yourself into spaces. You have to raise your hand and say, I want this for myself. And that might mean that you're going to have to do a lot of planning and prepping to be able to make certain things happen. I mean, we just have to, Kellyanne had a bit of a longer drive than me, but sometimes people will jump on planes and they'll go places by themselves, which is something that I'm just going to like say, I'm going to do that one day, because I know that that would be also incredible growth for me. But the opportunities are there. And some of the most amazing people that you're going to have in your life, that are going to step into your life to help you recognize your potential and help you create the life that you're wanting for yourself. You might not know them yet, but you can know them. You
Mhm.
can know them by making that choice. So I want to just talk for a second, Kellyanne, if I may, about this incredible hotel. Again, pampering. Romy, like this was she did not just like, oh, I'm going to pick some hotel on Expedia and just no, it was all created and crafted to help us put ourselves into the spaces that will help us rise, that will raise our vibration. And this hotel was just beautiful. And right from the very beginning, when we stepped into the room and the space and the energy that we were going to spend, quite honestly, it was like the fastest 3.5 hours or so. Like we had planned on doing a little bit of a photo shoot while we were there because like this hotel was so stunning. Like there was no time. There was no time because there were so many opportunities where everything that Romy had us go through. And as Romy was saying in a post, we can't tell you exactly what we did. We just truly can't, because it was an experience. It was an experience that we went through emotionally, spiritually, that sitting with yourself. Me watching Kellyanne when it was Kellyanne's turn to be stepping into her greatness, to be coached by Romy, like being able to observe that of you, Kellyanne. And I know your story, and I know that's why we connect so well, is there's so many parts of the two of us that we're growing through, and we're moving through those darker shadows. And just seeing you rise like that and moving through your fears, I'm just so deeply proud of you, and I was so honored to be there with you.
Oh, thank you, Kim. And
You're
I felt the
welcome.
same way. I caught some pictures of Kim as she was, sharing her vision and things like that. And it was just so beautiful to watch. And when you get in spaces like this, the conversations are different.
Mhm.
There was no small talk.
No.
There was there was deep, meaningful conversations. There was vulnerability. There was, and that's where a lot of the tears came from. I mean, we
Mhm.
were sharing deeply. We knew we only had a short amount of time with Romy and with each other. And so we just wanted to fit everything in there. And when you get around people who have big visions, who are doing great things like Kim and Romy are,
You.
the conversations are just different.
Mhm.
And I walked away inspired, not only by Romy, but by Kim, by what she's doing, by what she wants to create. So the inspiration was alive. And the other thing that Kim and I both felt, I think, was that this wasn't just an exciting, amazing experience. This was also challenging because we were doing uncomfortable work. I can't even tell you, I was ready to quit at one point. I said to Romy, I'm done. And she challenged me and pushed me just a little bit further. And that's what I think a coach does for you. Romy was coaching us, mentoring us, being our teacher. And
Mhm.
that's what somebody who is just a little further ahead on the journey, that's what they can do for you. They see your blocks like
Mhm.
you don't see them. I mean, Kim and I have done a lot of work. I've done a lot of work on me, and I'm aware of a lot of my blocks, but I'm not aware of every single one of them. And that's what you experience when you're masterminding, when you're being coached, when you're learning from somebody who's a little bit further on the journey, is they can call you out on those things. And I believe that the only way we grow is when we are called out on things, whether we call ourselves out on it or whether somebody else calls us out in a safe space where we feel supported.
Mhm.
That's how we grow. That's how we do. Kim and I have big visions for our businesses, our lives, and we have to become a different version of ourselves to achieve those visions. So we need that growth, that challenge, that being called out, that being uncomfortable. And it's hard, but it's beautiful.
Mm, so well said. So well said. I was not letting you quit. There's no way.
Sorry, I just kind of kept talking.
No, 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 no. I mean at the event. I don't mean right
Oh, okay.
now.
Okay. I
I
thought you
wouldn't
meant
say
now.
that. No, no, no. You said when you wanted to quit, right? When you
Oh,
were
yes,
just,
when I
it's so
wanted to
hard.
quit.
That's what I'm referring
Yeah.
to. I would never say that to you on here. But do you remember that moment where I was like, Kellyanne, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go, like just go, right? Because that's what we do, everyone. We get stuck. We get stuck in the end. And we talk about this so much on this episode or in this podcast about this ability of us wanting to play safe, right? We play safe, which also means that we play small. Okay. We often play small because it's just, I can see this a little easier, right? But I love what you said, Kellyanne, about needing to step into this next version of ourselves. And it's not something like we can just open up the door and walk in. We have to grow through our challenges. We have to accept and acknowledge the narrative. Like I think about that a lot. Both of us did that so well. We would catch ourselves on our language, or Romy would catch us on our language. And because language matters, because remember, your mind is always listening, your mind is always going like, what's possible here. Our mind doesn't know whether or not something's possible. If we can dream it, if we can envision it, it's possible, and our mind's like, okay, let's do it, let's step into it. So we, you know, it was everything. And I know, like, I'm still vibrating very, very high from it. Romy said to me, she's like, allow it. She says, can you give yourself 24 hours to be quiet, to let this sit in, to let this integrate? And I'm like, I'm going on a vacation tomorrow. It's not possible. But you can bet when I'm sitting on the airplane, when I'm walking the beach, when I'm doing some meditation while I'm away, is to allow myself to just let what happened land, because there is that time of allowing what we received to digest and assimilate what it is that we took in, and then allowing our souls to say, yeah, this feels good, or no, let's tweak this a little bit, right? But so beautiful. Let's talk about Liz Gill, or do you want to finish that
Oh,
for a
I
second?
just wanted to say the one thing that we really didn't. Joanne just asked if we kind of knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
No, we didn't. We were going to a mastermind with Romy. We really had no idea what was going to happen. But what I do want to tell you is that we focused on our dream. We didn't talk about the how, really. We did get caught up a little bit in the how. Well, how am I going to make this happen? We didn't go there at all, because your dream is what's going to fuel you. And once you make a decision on your dream and you decide to go for it, the path opens for you. The doors start to open. The universe conspires in your favor to make it happen. So you have to make the decision that, yes, my dream is worthy of going after. And that's really, I think, where Kim and I walked away from this weekend. I know I did, realizing that, yes, my dream is worth. I always knew that, but it was just another nudge to say my dream is worthy, and I can help women, which is what we both want to do. I can help women, if only if I stand in my light and I walk into this dream with a belief in myself. And I think that's what we both kind of walked away with. But yeah, let's talk about Liz Gilbert.
Yeah. So, like, a packed house, everyone, packed out show. She's on a tour, and the energy and the excitement and the male female audience of all ages. Lots and lots of authors, for sure. You could sense that in the room, but also it's the message, right? Anybody who resonates with the message of Liz. And you know, we didn't know what she was going to speak about, kind of like with Romy, right? Like when I signed up with this event with Romy, like I didn't know what I was getting. I was just like, it's Ruth Romy, I'm in, right? But going to see Liz was it was beautiful. And I don't want, maybe I'll just say one thing. If you are going to see the Liz Gilbert show, just maybe don't listen to this part. Okay. You know what I loved was the message of her whole talk was something that she believes, and she definitely focused on women, what she believed women, what we need in order to help us thrive, in order for us to be able to be living in this creative sense and this connection with our souls and our feminine energy is more the ability to relax in life, to relax in life. And there was so much conversation that flowed from that and storytelling. And, she wasn't saying it as if she knows how to relax. She was like, I wake up every morning. I wake every morning up and I don't know how I'm going to start my day. And she feels the same anxiety and the same worries. But, I think how long did she say her morning ritual was? Do you remember? Like it's long,
It's long.
2
It's long.
hours or
Yeah.
something, or 3
Yeah.
hours or
Yeah,
something?
3 hours, I think she said.
Yeah, but that morning ritual, that she has, and I mean, I have my morning practices, I'm sure you do too, Kellyanne, and this is maybe something for everyone that's listening right now is to think about that, but to how do you set up your day? And you get to create this life that is going to be fulfilling and exciting and beautiful, but also can we relax into life a little bit more? And where can we do that? She shared some really beautiful, vulnerable stories that just had me, oh, I was just feeling it. The tears were flowing and pooling in my eyes with some of her stories. She's such a beautiful storyteller. And the way she like love just exudes from Liz. Like you can see that and feel that from the stage, and I was very, very touched. And it was just the sealing of the way to put a bow on the end of the day for me
Mhm.
was to be able to see her and to be there with all of you. How was your experience with it?
Yeah, you know, it kind of reminded me, as Kim said, she talked a lot about her vision for the next movement in
Mm,
women to become more relaxed women. And I mean, we had just done last week, I think it was last week, our talk
wonderful. Yeah,
on surrender and letting go and accepting what is. And that's really what she was talking about. She was talking about, just allowing and you know, letting letting life happen and learning how to be okay with it. And I found, so much of what she was talking about, I really, over the last year, I've really felt that I've been working towards that. So it touched me really deeply. The
mhm,
other thing that really hit me, and again, this is something that I have become so aware of as I continue to do the work on myself, is that the work you do on you has huge ripple effects.
mhm,
And she talked about the fact that if we, when we talk about, say, our children, well, my child is so anxious, or they have all these feelings of anxiety, like, why can't they just calm down? She said, have they ever seen somebody live a calm life? What have they grown up in? And that just really hit me, because we often look at our kids and wonder why they are the way they are. And I can look back and say, okay, yeah, the way that I used to live my life, I know that that had an impact on my children. I know that the growth I've had has had an impact. And we often, for I think too long, we have looked at our lives and said, well, if I'm not really happy, if I'm just settling, if I just go along with the way life is, because that's the easiest thing for everybody around me, that's only hurting us. That's not true.
yeah.
It's not true. And that's not to blame anybody. This is in no way to say that you have created this in your child or it's your to blame. Not at all. It's just to be aware that you send out ripple effects,
Mhm,
and your energy is contagious.
mhm,
What you bring to the world, people around you feel it. So when you can relax, when you can, kind of lean into surrender, you will find that people around you do too. It's amazing how it works.
Hmm. Gee, you wrote The Butterfly Effect. Lots of conversations about butterflies while we
Yes,
were on.
lots. Mhm.
It's so true. It's so true. And I guess that's what we want to continue to do with this podcast is to share our own experiences, past experiences, things that we're going through now. This is called being a human being, right? We are human beings in this world where there's a lot going around us, but it's this place again of recognizing what is it that I can control and what is it that I cannot control, and what is the energy that I want to continue to feed and pour into myself. Because the energy that you have when you are filling your cup up in whatever way that looks like for you, you then will be able to ride the waves and season the storms that life continues to present you with, because it's here to help you grow. It's not here to make your life miserable.
Mhm.
It's here to help you grow. And we will have times where we are feeling like we just can't get up, one thing after another, or maybe it's just such a really challenging time that really knocked the wind out of us and our sail is down. But it's about being around people and reading and learning and getting out into nature and all the things we talk about in this podcast that will help fill you up again, believing in faith of some sort, believing in something that's higher than you, that's here to help you. It helps us get through these challenges and these seasons of life. And I 100% believe in this ripple energy. And you feel it when you go into a room. You also have people that might say to you, there's something about you, but I love your energy. Like those types of things. That means that you have that. You have that and you're sharing that. And that's another reason why you are not meant to dim your light. If you are a woman or a man who wants to shine bright and you have so many gifts, and you feel like whether it's messaging that you've been told you're too much, whether you've been told to, be humble, don't brag, whatever, your light has been given to you for a reason. Shine it in the ways that you can. This creative living, I'm going to say this last thing. This creativity, we've talked a lot about creativity when it came to Big Magic and Liz Gilbert. And what do you see as creative? Are you a creative person? I used to say that I wasn't a creative person because I saw creativity as art. And I can barely draw a stick person, Kellyanne. But I recognize now that creativity can be shared in so many ways, right? Allow your creativity to be tapped into. Allow yourself to express it. Share your gifts with other people. Let your light shine into other people. Open your heart to let their gifts and their light shine into you on days where your heart might not be shining as bright. But that's what we should be doing for us as humans, is to be there for one another, deeper connection, right?
Exactly. Exactly. And you are creating your life every day. Don't
Mhm.
forget that.
Mhm.
Every choice you make, every decision, you are creating the life that you are living. So remember that you are valuable and that you are here for a reason. You have a light to shine. Whatever that, in whatever way that is for you, it's different for every single one of us. Um, but don't be afraid to shine brightly.
Love that. What do you think? I have no idea what time it is.
It's time.
It's
It's
time.
time to close this out. We said that this was going to be such an easy conversation because I mean we have so much to share. I have notes. There's so many things that I think we both learned. We each learned. There's just so much to share, but I think it's time today to say goodbye and thank you, especially to thank you for all of you for being here. Romy was here. If you are interested in learning about Romy, please She is amazing. Her book club is amazing. Romy's Reading Room. Reach out to her, follow her at least on social media, because she is truly a champion for women and she shines her light bright. She's a great inspiration, I know, for me.
Me too. Me too.
So next week we are, Kim will be on vacation. Good for Kim. Happy for her. I am going to try and do this on my own. I'm going to go live next week. I will be going live in my Facebook group, however. So if you are not following, if you're not friends with me, that's where you're going to find me. Next week is on my Facebook page. I don't know what we're going to talk about, but if you can be there with me, it'll help me a lot, because going live on my own is not, this is much easier working with Kim. And so the other thing I just want to mention before we sign off is that I have started am starting an online sisterhood circle. And we are starting next Monday. If anybody is looking for a community of women to support, to encourage, to celebrate each other, my sister and I actually have created this, and the first one is free. We just want you to see what it's like to be in a circle of women. And I will be, all the information is on my Facebook page, my Instagram. If you're interested in joining us, we would love to have you there.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I'm so glad that you're doing that. Yeah. I will take a moment to say that if there is anyone that's looking for some one-on-one support, remember that I'm doing so much more work than just beyond the food and body healing stories, right? So if there's someone out there right now who has been following me for a really long time, or you're just someone who's ready to take your life to the next level, you're recognizing that you have been not living the way you want to, and there's things that are holding you back, and you feel like I could support you, please reach out to me. I do have 2 spots for one-on-one coaching available. And of course, I still have my Food Freedom Foundations and my Empowered Movement communities for you as well. So lots of ways to connect and let me support you in the ways that I can. Kellyanne, thank you for such a great episode.
Yeah, it was great. Thank you to all of you for being here. And Kim, wishing you an amazing vacation. And I will see you next week. For the
Yes.
people, I won't see you, Kim, but I'll see hopefully the women who are joining us next week.
Yes, go on over and listen to Kellyanne. Go support her next Tuesday. Thank you to everyone who is always in here commenting and coming every week. We deeply appreciate you. Go shine your light with the world and have an amazing Tuesday. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.